Mr. Petty is not up in this seat as often either. So thank you for the assistance. So I call the Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 special called meeting to order. For the record, Mayor Kurt Wilson and Councilmember Marcelo Zapata have an excused absence. The City Council voted to give Marcelo Zapata a medical leave of absence. I'd like to start by calling Ms. Dory Griggs to be able to give us an invocation with a moment of silence.
Please join me. Holy One, be with our City Council, the Roswell staff, and our citizens in their work here tonight. Guide their discussions and decisions in the days and weeks ahead. In all issues, help them move forward together for the good of all who live in Roswell. Be with our community later this evening as they offer comments to our City Council. Help them be heard and help them feel heard. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Mr. Cohen, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Not at all.
Excellent. Thank you.
Council folks, as the commander of the North Fulton VFW Post 12002, it's my honor to lead everybody in the pledge. Everyone please rise. Military can do hand salute. Everybody else, please put your hand over your heart and join me in pledging the flag of the greatest country in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have one item on this special called meeting. It's under the mayor's report, appointment of the members to the new Roswell Development Authority. And so I'm going to say a few words before I turn it over to Councilmember Vanstrom to speak a little more in detail. But I think this is a great example that this mayor and this city council are very focused on economic development for the city of Roswell and doing it in multiple different ways. So you hopefully saw the announcement that there is an in-house economic development director being hired to work for Mr. Knighton and really support the city of Roswell's efforts to be completely accountable and focused on driving economic development. We also have the importance of getting experts from our community, and I think this is a great opportunity for that. And it's certainly a team effort and a lot of focus for the city. So I definitely appreciate that Mayor Wilson called this knowing it's the utmost importance to get this started. So I definitely appreciate that he called this special called meeting. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Councilman Vanstrom to give some additional background before hopefully a motion and hopefully a vote.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It's great to be here this evening. It's just wonderful to be able to bring forward 7 incredible names of residents with such business acumen to serve on the Roswell Development Authority. The Roswell Development Authority will be created to facilitate trade, commerce, and industry and employment opportunities in the city of Roswell. They'll interact with the private sector for economic development and redevelopment. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean we're dissolving the Downtown Development Authority. Indeed, we're complementing the Downtown Development Authority. They're the central business district engine for economic development, and the remainder of Roswell has been left underserved by a development authority, and we will be filling that void with these new, powerful, incredible people tonight. I'd like to just run by a quick introduction and a little brief bio of the folks that we're bringing forward, if that's okay with the Mayor Pro Tem. Absolutely. One of the things that we focused on early was we had a group of amazing citizens who worked on the East Roswell Economic Action Committee. They did some amazing work during the COVID break that was going on, so to speak. Ended up a little frustrated among themselves because they felt like they could have accomplished so much more. This group includes 3 of those all-stars. bringing forward the information that was already in existence for East Roswell, because one of the key areas we will be focusing on is East Roswell and redevelopment in that area. So we're glad to have the first three that I'll announce that were on that committee itself, the East Roswell Economic Action Committee. Andy McGarry is Vice President, Commercial Sales Director of Fidelity National Title Group. In his position with Fidelity National, Andy is focused on commercial real estate transactions. He brings a vast and detailed knowledge of commercial development. He's very aware of almost every nook and cranny in Roswell redevelopment here in the Roswell redevelopment, as well as other areas of the city. But it's so valuable when I take a ride with Andy around the city, and when I talk to him about economic development, he just has a vast wealth of information. And so it's so wonderful to have Andy joining us. He will be the chairman of the committee as it is formed. Bruce Kellogg. Bruce is with BK Consulting, LLC. You want to say hello, Bruce? He's currently owner and managing director of BK Consulting with a special focus on commercial business development and appraisal valuation services. He interacts with various firms relating to technology and construction. Bruce brought his energy and valuation expertise to the East Roswell Action Committee. It was so invaluable. And when I talked to Andy about who we wanted on this committee, Bruce was the first name that he brought forward that he wanted to bring along. And so we're just so happy to have Bruce joining us. Amanda Rippey, Vice President of Crown Tenant Advisors. Amanda brings an emphasis on real estate interest for the healthcare providers. And as we know, the healthcare industry is growing leaps and bounds. She represents the interests of the healthcare providers, such as dentists, physicians, and veterinarians in their real estate transactions. She was a major contributor on the East Roswell Economic Action Committee, and looks to have that same positive impact on the RDA. Welcome. And then moving forward with the two other folks that are joining us this morning, we have Leanne Maxwell. Leanne's a realtor with Century 21 Connect Realty, a partner of the Maxwell Adventure Team, founder of the Vixen Vodka Company. It's a vodka, as I understand it, for the female palate. The female discerning palate. So, Councilman Moreland, don't be caught drinking a Vixen vodka. She's also an active volunteer with the American Heart Association. Wanted to point that out. I think that's wonderful she's doing that. She has a history also in condo and townhouse home development that's going to be key to us moving forward as we look to bring those entities more into our mixed development uses. She adds a diverse business background combined with her real estate acumen. Her clients give her raving reviews and note her impressive communication skills and outstanding professionalism. Wonderful traits that will no doubt she will bring forward to the RDA. One of my favorite new additions that we're bringing forward who wasn't on the ERAC is Brian Feldman, CPA. Director of Real Estate at Edible Arrangements, Brian brings the CPA title combined with a bundle of experience in the retail industry. His core competencies include business analytics, operating and capital budgeting, site selection and lease execution, vendor selection, and landlord-broker relationships in management. You can see that all of those are vital for redevelopment conversation here in the city. He's so ready to join us, by the way, that he requested right off the bat the 4-year term instead of the 2-year option. We are so happy that he's here with us. Monica Smith could not be here this evening. Monica is going to bring a very unique blend of background to the seat on the board. She's president and CEO of Southeast Tourism Society. She brings an array of talents. She excels at strategic planning, project management, destination sales, and marketing, convention, business recruitment, and hotel administration. She will bring balance to the board with her perspectives on business growth, hotel, tourism, and development and retention of business. And finally, and certainly not last in any regard, is Mr. Mike Hampton. He could not be with us this evening. Mike is Chief Administrative Officer at Choate Construction. He brings years of experience in the construction industry. His specialties include leadership development, business development, profit and loss enhancement, strategic planning, and facilitation of complex groups. So he's the guy that can help unbundle all of your problems when you're having meetings. He's excited to bring his knowledge and his connections into the industry to serve us here at Roswell. An exciting, exciting group of 7, a fantastic 7. I'm so excited that we have you all joining us as volunteers for this great city. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman Vanstrom, and I definitely appreciate all the leadership you've taken in making sure we're moving forward towards our economic development goals. With that, are there any comments from council? Councilmember Hall?
Just wanted to take a moment to welcome or pre-welcome everybody before we take a vote. But we're very, very excited for the RDA and everything that we know you're going to accomplish, especially for the east side.
Councilmember Hills?
I too want to say thank you very much. I think we're turning a corner here in Roswell, and with your leadership and guidance, we will make so many things that have been a dream a reality here in Roswell. So thank you in advance. Thank you alongside. You have our support. We're looking forward to seeing what you turn out. Appreciate you.
Would anyone from the public like to make any comments? Okay. So with that, I will first off say I definitely could not be more excited and really appreciate the expertise and your willingness to volunteer, and definitely an important goal for certainly all of Roswell, but I'm definitely excited for certainly a great focus on the east side of Roswell. Based on some of the comments, I don't anticipate getting the opportunity to vote tonight, but I am certainly very, very excited for sure. So with it, any last comments? And if not, then I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Vanstrom?
Motion to approve the seven leaders brought forward as appointments to be members of the Roswell Development Authority.
A second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve, and the members that Councilman Vanstrom has just read out. With that, all in favor? And that passes unanimously. Congratulations, and thank you so much for what you're signing up for. Appreciate it. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Yes. Oh, should we have done that prior to the adjournment, perhaps? call to order the May 31st, 2022 regularly scheduled open forum. For the record, Mayor Kurt Wilson and Councilmember Marcelo Zapata have an excused absence. The City Council voted to give Marcelo Zapata a medical leave of absence. We'd like to start, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Cohen?
Thank you, Mayor. As the commander of the North Fulton VFW, it's my honor to lead your pledge tonight. Everyone has already risen. Please put your hands over your heart. Military hand salute. Please uncover and follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And God bless our mayor, our city council, and the United States of America. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we'll get started with the mayor's report. Reading of a proclamation for the esteemed veteran of Roswell Award to Airman First Class Anthony M. Pinto. And with the mayor's style, I'm going to walk up here. This is quite an honor. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Airman First Class Anthony M. Pinto, esteemed veteran of Roswell. Whereas in 1959, Anthony M. Pinto graduated from Proctor High School in Utica, New York, and a year later subsequently enlisted in the Air Force and reported to San Antonio, Texas for basic training. Anthony reported to an Air Force base in Moses Lake, Washington, and was trained as a communications center specialist, where he handled the inbound and outbound base and military communications with Strategic Air Command, SAC. A year later, Anthony was reassigned to Griffiths Air Force Base in Rome, New York, and continued with SAC, and also specialized in crypto communications to code and decode top secret communications. And whereas Anthony was assigned to Thule, Greenland, to continue as a crypto specialist, but orders were soon redirected to Tan Son Nhut, South Vietnam, where he was fulfilling the role as a communication center specialist with specialty training for crypto, and one of the functions was to code orders for the B-52 bombers. And whereas the general role of a cryptologic specialist is to help maximize operational integrity, highly secretive job with advanced training and specific areas of cryptology. Anthony would receive the top secret orders for the B-52 pilots from command post. The code was entered into a machine with alphabet letters, and the KACS machine encoded the information into codes and produced a small disk that was given to the pilots. The pilots then put in a decoder that produced English words and advised them of the mission. The pilot, in most cases, did not know their assignment until they were in the air. Upon reading the assignment, the pilot then destroyed the disk, which in turn destroyed all evidence of the orders. And whereas Anthony's last assignment was to report to Presidio Army Base in San Francisco, California, where his detail was Air Force Attached Liaison, coordination of all communications between the Army and the Air Force. Anthony was honorably discharged on February 14th, 1964, and the Air Force awarded him the following medals: Honorable Discharge, Expeditionary Forces, and Vietnam Service Medal. As a result of exposure to Agent Orange, the Air Force and the Veterans Administration rendered Anthony as a totally disabled veteran. And whereas we remember the strength of our community and nation is in our collective bond to a spirit of service, and that there is no higher calling than those who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Pro Tem Michael Palermo, do hereby name Airman First Class Anthony M. Pinto, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and call upon all our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to his country and our community. in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Roswell to be affixed this 31st day, May 2022. Everyone.
To everyone here this evening and to you, Mayor Palermo, I would say the only thing I would recognize is to say this, and I am humbled to say I am not alongside the real heroes of the Vietnam War and the many lives in memory of the life we lost. It was obeying orders, which we have to learn to do, and which we do. So if you just take a minute and remember all of us in Vietnam, those that came back and those that didn't. I just wanted to say that. They're the ones that really are honored. I will just one other thing. I wear my hat whenever I can for one reason. I don't want our country to forget Vietnam. Thank you.
We could have a photo with City Council. Photo with you, and then after with your family as well. Excellent.
He's almost as short as I
Hey, yeah, we're both Italian, so.
Will, you're one of the top ones.
Things are looking up today.
Thank you so much for all you've done. Greatly appreciate it.
It's an honor to be here with you tonight. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything comes forward.
Absolutely, I really appreciate it. Thank you, and same to you, for sure. Put this.
That was sneaky. Everybody only gets 5-minute slot, correct?
Excellent. That was great, and so I really appreciate those words and really appreciate the blessing of esteemed veterans like Mr. Pinto in the city of Roswell. So with that, we're going to move on to public comment. And so this is a great opportunity to hear from Roswell residents of just really any topic you feel the city council should be aware of, and anything in general for the community that you want to share. So I definitely encourage your engagement and involvement. So as a reminder, everyone is only able to speak once. So that is certainly something I want to make sure for any of you that have not been here before. Everybody has one opportunity to get up and speak. And so with that, would like to call anyone that has filled out a comment card and is going to understand that there'll certainly be the 5-minute limit. I want to make sure that everyone here will get the opportunity to speak. So anyone here that has filled out a comment card and will be following the 5-minute guidelines. So welcome you up, Ms. Russell. And we will need everyone's name and address.
I just tell you I'm a Roswell resident. I don't give my address since this is live streamed.
And your name too, please.
Janet H. Russell. The H is for Hidalgo. 4 things. 1, Just so you know, the new Transportation Committee that you swore in last week, I asked to be put on that committee as a volunteer, and I was not accepted. I'll let you sink that in, because I know more about public transportation in this city than the entire Department of Transportation and all of you combined. So I just thought I would let you know that. I volunteered and I was not even invited. Let that sink in. It reminds me that when the DDA was doing the city green, I volunteered to be the at-large citizen on the committee, and they said, oh, we're so sorry, we've had 2 other applications and the position is full. The problem was the position didn't exist, I made it up. So they told me a position that didn't exist was full and that's why I couldn't be on it. Just letting you know that, ladies and gentlemen. Secondly, the Memorial Day celebration, which was yesterday, I'm sure most of you were there, and you noticed the big crowd that was in the sun, right? All those white chairs that were baking. Just remember that the DDA wanted to clear cut this entire forest and move the Faces of War Memorial, and when we all mentioned that we liked shade, they said, we'll put up shade sails. Remember that when you make them make decisions. They wanted to cut down trees to keep the air clean and muffle the sound to put up man-made shade sails. No one except newcomers or visitors ever sits on those white seats. The real people sit, well, hello, you're a newcomer. Well, you're a newcomer on the council, Miss Hills, and the VIP seats are really the ones in the shade. So, thirdly, last week you you had to make a big decision. You had to prove whether you wanted to provide a water line for the city or provide funding for the Star House, among other nonprofits. And I got up and spoke, and the one thing I mentioned was that the Star House provided a safe place for children to go after school. 1 week ago today, 19 children and 2 teachers were killed because they weren't safe. Think about that, safe. We take it for granted, except that it's not. In this city, we shouldn't have to make a decision between clean water and safe places for our children. In my estimation, we have plenty of money that we piss away on other stuff, that we could find the money. I'm really disappointed that you couldn't find the money for those children, because if you were at the memorial service, remember when they did the 21-gun salute? And they warned us it would be really loud, so be ready. Just remember that 21 shots were fired inside of a 4th grade classroom, and they didn't have the benefit of the sound being dispelled, and they all got killed. So if you think that the 21 shots bothered you outside and it was loud, imagine 21 people, 19 of them were children, heard those shots inside of a classroom. Think about it, because you shouldn't be deciding between water and safety for children. I'm really disappointed. We have the money for what we want in this city every single time. We spent money on a hawk light. You know, this little path, everybody says, oh, it's so great. From the end of the path to the crosswalk on the left is 6 steps. I did it. From the end of the path to the new crosswalk, the hawk light, 237 steps. Hello, who put that one in? We had money for that. So the last thing I want to remind you of is the Historic Gateway project. It needs to be stopped immediately, if not sooner. It is brought to us by the same great minds of the previous council and DDA and everybody else. It's a disaster. Most cities have a nothing and are creating something, and Roswell has a something and they want to make it nothing, a slum. Stop it now. And then I'm so glad you got a new director of economic development. Thank God, maybe we can get rid of Roswell Inc. They're getting like $60,000. Why not? Spend it. Hey, here's an idea. You could spend it at Star House and pay for kids. But in the meantime, I read his credentials, and he comes from MARTA. Well, he and I have got a long talk, because I know more about transportation in this city than everybody in this room, public transportation. And I really want to be part of it, because it's an economic driver and it's a way for people to have a quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Please state your name and where you live.
Yes. My name is Lois Oster. I live at 155 King Street. I came before you tonight because I have a few thoughts I'd like to share with you. I'm a lone resident of Roswell. I have been here 30-plus years. When I moved here, Roswell was a small southern town. I've seen so many changes. Some are good and some are not. Let's take, for example, Oxbow. I'm not going to go into Oxbow other than it is a disaster, something we all know is not of your making. But perhaps we can still save a small part of that debacle. Stopping the connection from Oxbow to Mimosa Boulevard. If it continues, it will become a major cut-through for Cobb County traffic. We have a new advisory transportation commission. They will bring concerns of the residents and business owners to you for your consideration. Then there is the Gateway Project, which Ms. Russell already addressed, but that will become your legacy if it does go through as now planned. You need to rethink this project and provide a better design to convince GDOT this plan is not acceptable to us, the residents of Roswell, and RDOT. Just eliminating one roundabout on King Street would be saving another neighborhood from becoming a cut-through, destroying a peaceful part of our community. I live on King Street, and I realize the traffic that will come through if this goes through. I thank you for your time. I hope this doesn't fall on deaf ears, and maybe just a small seed has been planted. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Oster.
Hello. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, thank you for giving us this opportunity. My name is Ashok Nagrani, and I have been a resident of Roswell for 49 years. I don't think there's anybody out here that can match it.
Just me.
Okay, just except for Janet Russell.
We moved in together but didn't know each other.
I raised 3 sons and a foster daughter right here in Roswell. They're all very successful and on their own. And we consider Roswell to be our home. And I'm extremely fond of Roswell because of everything that it offers. The beautiful parks, the people, schools. There's a lot to be proud of in Roswell. I'm committed to Roswell, and I started 2 profitable businesses right here, a computer business and a real estate business. And both of them, I'm happy to say, were pretty successful. I own currently the strip mall that's known as River Plaza down the road. And I bought that in 1994. At that time, it was a distressed property. It was half empty. It was in pretty poor condition. I bought it, renovated it, got new tenants, but for the first several years, it still couldn't pay for itself. Thankfully, my engineering company was doing well enough that I could make the center successful and keep it occupied and going. The design on SR9, what we call the Gateway Project, in my mind, is a disaster. As one of the council members once told me, we need to put RDOT on a road diet. And I completely agree with that. There's no reason for 4 lanes with a big median in between and big paths on both sides, because that ends up taking about 100 feet or 120 feet. If we just stay with 2 lanes in either direction, and maybe a separator of some kind, we would meet all our needs. There are several businesses in my center that have been there for a long time. Salvatore Matello, who's going to be speaking also today, opened up a restaurant called Salvatore's, which later on became Amalfi. And their food is so good that everybody in Roswell knows about it. If you want to eat great, authentic North Italian food, that's the place to go to. The impact on my property is going to be substantial. First of all, the way they designed it, they're going to take away the entire half of my parking lot for the period during which the road construction is going to go on. Now, Mr. Salvatore is going to come and tell you that if that happens, he's going to close down. There's no way, because the only thing that limits his business is lack of parking space. So if you come in and take off half the parking, even if it be for a period of a year or two, he can't survive. The other business owner that I have over there is Energize. They've been with me for 16 years. And we have together built it up, through thick and thin, through hail and storm. And they have survived, so has Salvatore. And these are very successful businesses that I can be proud of, that they can be proud of. My property, GDOT has already exercised eminent domain on it and laid claim to 0.18 acres. My total land out there is 1.18 acres. So they're going to take away almost 20% of my land. And with that, they're going to knock down the monument sign that I've got. And by the way, to get that monument sign approved, I had to go before City Council and HPC 3 times before they gave me the permission to put up the sign. And I see I'm running out of time, so I better hurry. The worst thing that I think this whole design does is the destruction of the green canopy that we've got. On my property alone, they're going to cut down a 75-year-old oak, 3 other oaks along Jones Road, and then the property next to me is going to suffer a similar fate. Okay, thank you for allowing me to come and speak my mind.
And before I call the next speaker as well, I do want to mention that certainly a big focus and viewpoint for mine, probably it was probably 2020 or 2021, was doing anything we could to have GDOT make it thinner and smaller. And we do have a letter from GDOT where basically they were not giving us any voice. That being said, I am optimistic and hopeful that that this current mayor and council can find a way to get support from GDOT to find some ways to hopefully make it thinner. And that is something that I know certainly the mayor has started some conversations or dialogue with trying to get in touch with and meeting with GDOT. So it's definitely a important issue. It's one that I wish the city of Roswell had more control over, but certainly definitely appreciate the viewpoints. And so with that, I see. Just real quick, one quick response to that.
We had GDOT come in and make a presentation to us and 60 of the property owners up and down SR9. Mm-hmm. At that time, GDOT said, we take the design that RDOT hands us. Yep. All we've got to do is right-of-way acquisition and then going ahead and fulfilling the project.
So that's something where, Mr. Knighton, I'd like for you to hopefully just basically listen and verify that point, because that was the exact opposite message that I'd always received. I had always received that it was a GDOT project, and we had interest in making it thinner. And again, that's where GDOT gave us a letter back, which is public record, where basically they were turning down our request. So Mr. Knight, if you could look into that comment. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Claire Barnes at 19 Revival Street. Okay. To address what Shug just said, there's a lot of witnesses because we were part of this. We had this big meeting, and GDOT did say that, so whatever. Right, okay. I'm happy that you have honored your campaign promise to establish a Transportation Advisory Commission. This will provide an additional layer of eyes and expertise to partner with RDOT. Thank you. I look forward to the advisory board having input on a series of citizen-based recommendations on current and planned transportation projects. This partnership with RDOT will improve quality of life for residents and get us closer to the goal of #1 family community in America that the mayor campaigned on. We expect this commission will provide mayor and council specific ideas that will require immediate action from you to protect quality of life for all the residents in our historic district with the stated ultimate goal and to protect from further harm. We sincerely ask that you not just quickly support and pass the existing bad projects. Number one, specifically the additional funding for Oxbow was recently passed. This did not consider the ultimate goal as stated by Mayor of #1 family community in America. You lost sight and focus of the goal. Oxbow is currently being constructed to connect to Mimosa Boulevard, which will now become a major cut-through for Cobb County commuters. How does this new intersection through one of the most historic main streets in Roswell align with the stated goal? And number two, the Historic Gateway project was also designed by previous administration and has inherent flaws common to the Oxbow project. This project will encourage more commuter traffic. This project as designed does not align with the stated goal, Mr. Mayor. Right now, our local businesses and restaurants are engaged with GDOT fighting to preserve their land and parking just to survive. Please rethink this project and with partnership of the Transportation Commission and RDOT to provide a better design that will fix the real issue being the intersection at the river. Please look at these and future projects with the mindset, does this align with our stated goal? As our elected officials that a whole lot of us helped get y'all elected, we deserve action on these two absolutely critical issues. Remember, stated goal and apply accordingly. We are watching and will hold each of you accountable to be bold and goal in mind of making Roswell #1 family community in America. Stand up to GDOT, protect our businesses, restaurants, and residents' quality of life. Tell GDOT we are not going to allow Roswell to be a cut-through community for commuter traffic. Remember, stated goal, and we're counting on this, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. And with it, in mentioning the Transportation Commission as well, and regarding Oxbow, I have requested that they give a focus on all possible traffic calming measures to Oxbow, both east and west of Highway 9, to make sure that we are not just enabling a cut through, and to make sure that we are making it pedestrian safe and really focused on existing Roswell residents. And again, I definitely appreciate Mrs. Barnes' compliments and optimism for the Transportation Commission, because I do feel this new philosophy will certainly help us improve in the future on both current and future projects. Would someone else like to speak?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Salvatore Mattiello. I'm the gentleman that Mr. Ashok was referring, one of the owner of Amalfi restaurant. And of course, my personal interest in this meeting is the Gateway project in front of the restaurant. With all due respect to all the experts and all the people that have the degree and the design and everything, I've been there 24 years, every day. Okay, I see many accidents over there, the struggle of the reversible lane. So there is no question that something has to be done with the route. But if something has to be done, it has to be done with common sense and not with the degree and whatever else. The problem over there is that, like Mr. Ashok was saying, if we create a 2-lane going south, 2-lane going north, maybe a drivable median, just like they did on Alpharetta Highway, because Alpharetta Highway is much larger than the street in front of our business, and they had the common sense to put a drivable over median. Why we have to have a race median over there? The runabouts really, they work, they really regulated the traffic, they're better. What we need over there, like somebody else suggested before, maybe a couple crosswalk for people to go from one side to the other side, okay? But the main thing is also After being there 24 years, if that project goes the way Georgia Department of Transportation wants to do it, we have no choice to close the door. Because if they not only want to take a part of the parking, but they want to park their equipment, their supply in our parking lot. Why? That's a privately owned. We pay the sales tax to the city, they don't. And also, just to make one comment, directly across the restaurant, they're clearing some land to build some condominiums over there. The day that they came to deliver 2 excavators over there, it was a disaster for 2 hours, just because the truck has to stop and then go in. Now that they're clearing the truck, they have 2 excavators and 4 trucks that they go back and forth. And they already caused some traffic over there because they have to come out, they have to go in, the other one has to wait for the one to turn around. Now imagine if we have to have a large-scale project over there. I don't think it's fair to the business owner. I don't think it's fair to the people that reside there for so long and they be there. So again, I understand that something has to be done. But if something can be done as minimally invasive for everybody and also for the environment, is it really fair to cut down somebody's trees that we watched them for so long, trees that belong to the city of Roswell? We always want to move park, we always want more clean water, we want everything. We want less carbon monoxide. Why are we cutting down trees? Why can we work around the tree? But, I appreciate the opportunity, and like somebody else said before, I hope that this doesn't fall on deaf ears. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, staff, residents of Roswell, anybody watching live stream or from home. After May 31st, I just want to introduce myself, Betty Price, 295 Broadmeadow Cove, Roswell. And you may guess why I'm here, but actually, first of all, I want to congratulate you on appointing or hiring a new Economic Development Director. I think this is a great step in the right direction. I've looked at some of the responses on Facebook from the announcement, and it looks like folks are saying this is exciting. We can get something in addition to Canton Street that's an attraction in Roswell, other than restaurants and not much else. So you can guess what I am here about, and that's the Labyrinth Project, once again, which would give a real extra boost to this area. The plan is to construct a labyrinth out in this area behind City Hall. And for those of you who were at the Memorial Day service, you would know that that would not interfere with that activity or other activities that are similar. So I'm hoping that we will get a master plan or an emphasis in the direction of deciding what is to be done out behind City Hall so that we can accept a gift of this labyrinth to the city from an anonymous donor who has agreed to sponsor this and pay for it. So it doesn't come from taxpayer dollars. It is it's a gift, and we hope that we don't miss getting this gift if we delay too long in deciding that it would be an asset. And I think from people I've talked to, it seems like people are very much in favor of it. We are in the new phase now, which is a public relations push to get it out in front of various community groups. So I would just like to suggest or offer to people in the audience or anywhere else that I'm happy to come to your service club, your group. I've got a couple booked already to present this to you and to anyone who's interested, just so that we get a little buzz and get some feedback so that we make sure that we are considering all the things we need to consider to make this a real worthwhile and successful project. So I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime if they want more information, and I look forward to hearing the plan for this area as soon as it's determined that you're ready to move forward. And I hope that's soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to voice my concerns about the Gateway project. My name is Patty Gordon. I live at 170 Neil Reed Drive, and so I'm right in Old Town Roswell. And my concern is about the roundabout that will be in front of our community. I've gone to meetings for many years about that and voiced my concern about the danger actually of ingress and egress into our community. And I really appreciate roundabouts when they're placed in places where it makes a little more sense. But when 99% of the traffic is north and south, I think it's going to be, I think we can pretty much guarantee it's going to be difficult to go in and out of our community during high traffic times. And I'm also president of our HOA, and I live in the very front unit. So I look out and I see what is happening on Atlanta Street every day. And in December, we were shown the actual drawings. And from what I understand, they're still not completely finalized. But I kept hearing through the years, oh, we're gonna design it so it's easy to get in and out. But when I saw those drawings, I was even more concerned than ever, because if we're going south and taking a left into our community, at the very bottom of the circle, we're going to have to cut across almost at a 90-degree angle 2 lanes of traffic. And I don't know how that's going to happen in a safe manner. And I don't know what the exact answer is, but I'm just concerned about that. Also, I know there have been there's a lot of concern about the safety there, but I've seen a lot of the accidents, unfortunately I have. And a lot of them come from, and I'm sure you've seen the reports as well, a lot of them have to do with that middle lane. It changes right in front of that, 5-way intersection. And it changes on a curve. So most of the problems have been from when people get mixed up and are going the wrong way as soon as they come out of the intersection area. And getting rid of that will, I'm sure, make a huge difference in the safety of that intersection. So thank you for listening. I appreciate what y'all are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Vanstrom?
Can you just clarify, I'm sorry, Patty?
Yes.
The name of the street again that comes in and out of your neighborhood?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Neil Reed Drive. Neil, N-E-E-L Reed, R-E-I-D Drive. And it's in that intersection with King, and that's the circle.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to speak next? Next one.
Have the card, I haven't filled it out yet, I will.
Okay. And name and where you live, too.
Yes, of course. Good evening, Council. My name is Sal Palmisano. My family and I live at 720 Valley Summit Drive in North Roswell. I'm here this evening to, first of all, say thank you very much for this opportunity. It's my first time at one of these meetings, certainly addressing the Council, so thank you for that. I'm also here to ask for consideration associated with one of the city ordinances. There is an ordinance of Roswell that states the definition and usage of all things, wait for it, your gardens. So the ordinance states that you cannot have anything that you can eat, no fruits or vegetables grown in your garden if it's visible from the street. Essentially, it calls out the front yard and the side yard. My family and I are one of many in our neighborhood that have just such a garden, and recently completed a project to enhance that garden with just a handful of pieces of infrastructure within our yard. We do indeed have some planting boxes and just a ton of flowers, and yes, indeed, some fruits and vegetables as far as the garden is concerned. We sought the approval of our homeowners association long before attempting such a thing. We polled our neighbors, got everybody on board as far as any of the changes that we were going to make, both before we had done anything and as well as afterward. Unfortunately, there is someone on our street who is a stickler for the rules. We have received, the city has received several phone calls from an individual who has told on us, so to speak, and said, hey, you guys are not in compliance as far as the ordinance is concerned. As a result of that, we have a hearing in a couple weeks that I'll address, our non-compliance with the ordinance as it's stated today. But what we're looking for is consideration from the council in the form of amending the ordinance, ideally to be one where you are still in compliance if the homeowner and the homeowners association are in agreement that the aesthetic, that the standards associated with the neighborhood are still being met. And I'm sure there is a more formal process for recommending or suggesting an amendment to a city ordinance. I'm happy to follow that as well, but I wanted at least the opportunity to raise that with the council. We are one of many in our neighborhood that have just similar sorts of gardens. We have polled not just the neighbors through the neighborhood Facebook group as well. Everybody is in support that has provided feedback to us. Again, we do have somebody on the street who's been anonymously calling the city and saying that we're out of compliance. So any sort of consideration in that regard to at least amend so that we can continue and all of the others within our neighborhood can continue with their gardens as well would be appreciated. I'll do a little more research on what it takes to make such a formal request as far as amending a city ordinance is concerned. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you. In addition to filling out the comment card, what I'd actually encourage is if you could actually email, as of course anyone in the public always can, email the Roswell Mayor and Council at roswellgov.com, because I obviously only can speak for myself, and I certainly encourage anyone to speak with their separate views. But I certainly think that the current Roswell code of saying nothing grown that you can eat can be seen from the road, I think that sounds a little too restrictive. So I certainly am open to this suggestion. Of course, I think it is important that one always has to comply with their HOA, and by no means is the city, have I seen the city ever wanting to interfere with HOA rules. But for when there's not an HOA conflict, I think it could use a further public discussion.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I did indeed send email, and I will fill out the comment card this evening.
Excellent, perfect.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. Who would like to speak next?
Courtney Rozier, 540 Hemby Road. Alrighty, questions. When were the changes to the city's 2021-2025 strategic plan published June 21st, discussed by City Council and Mayor? In which Mayor and City Council meeting was there a vote to change the city's 2021-2025 strategic plan? Were there opportunities for citizens to review the red lines and provide input prior to that vote? Is there information on the city's website to review regarding the process for changing the city's strategic plan and creating a new one for, I assume, 2026 through 2031? Did the city receive its second allotment of ARPA funds in May 2022? What is the next step for ARPA funds, and when will the city's ARPA website be updated? Is there a summary showing how the ARPA funds received have been allocated and how the remaining funds will be invested? If not, when will the city create a PowerPoint with this information and update the ARPA webpage with this information? Why did council choose to use CDBG funds instead of ARPA funds for the replacement of the Maxwell Road water line and the replacement of the Rocky Creek Lane water line, instead of choosing to use ARPA funds for these water investments, and inform the public that the philosophy or understanding of allocating CDBG funds had changed, and educate nonprofits and public on which nonprofit projects were eligible and examples of nonprofit projects that could be eligible in the future? What specifically did council members Hall and Palmero learn during their preparations for this year's CDBG vote that made them realize the Water Investment Award met the intent of the CDBG better than the nonprofit proposals, which I believe they voted to approve in the past? Which applications for CDBG funds were eligible and which were not eligible? When was the last comment email for the CDBG received? Would each city council member identify when they reviewed the email comments, including those sent at the deadline? Since the deadline for comments was 5:23 at 5 p.m., the public hearing was at 6 p.m. 5:23, and the vote was first item on Mayor and City Council's 5:23 regular agenda. If each council member did not read all comments sent via email, would each city council member share if they agree or disagree that best practice would have been to reschedule the vote since more comments were received than years in the past? And that reading every resident comment is important, even if the same procedure and timeline have been observed as in the past. Are projects for the Roswell Housing Authority eligible for CDBG funds? Would renovating the apartments and other buildings at Lita Thompson Apartments mentioned in AJC's 12/20/2021 article be eligible for CDBG funds so that they can continue to be used as an affordable housing and not turned into art classrooms? Would the funds towards, using the funds towards building or converting buildings into work phase and affordable housing be eligible under CDBG or ARPA programs? Do each of you support having Mr. Knighton to report the report used to inform the 2040 comprehensive plan as part of phase 1 of the racial equity impact assessment posted to the city's racial equity resource page by Juneteenth? Do each of you support Mr. Knighton having an update on phase 2, phase 3, and next steps posted to the racial equity resource page by Juneteenth? And this is for the racial equity assessment program. Do each of you support Mr. Knighton having the city's racial resource page updated with information regarding 21st century policing policies that the city has adopted, the McHenry Brown historical marker, the city's plans for Doc's Cafe, and how the city is incorporating the history of Roswell's Black residents during slavery, Reconstruction, segregation, and civil rights, and its historical assets program, which includes, don't understand that, sorry. Do each of you support Mr. Knighton having information about Roswell's emancipation posted on the racial equity resource page before July 5th, which was the 158th anniversary of Union troops arriving in Roswell and effectively the Civil War ending in Roswell? Since the information about mill workers being arrested for treason and sent up north is shared on the Visit Roswell's webpage about Roswell's founding, but information about the emancipation of enslaved persons in Roswell is not addressed on that webpage. Also, I'd appreciate if the mayor could provide information on the mayor's task force and if he intends to have a task force to combat racism or something similar as the last administration. Can each of you share which Juneteenth events you will attend and if you support the city staff organizing events having Roswell's pledge to stand against racism read at each Juneteenth event and 4th of July event by the mayor, council, or other highest ranking member who will be in attendance? I didn't finish,
Thank you.
but the rest of them are there.
I definitely appreciate the printout, a lot of questions. And the one thing I'll mention, since there was one thing you mentioned my name with, which was, I don't see it written, but it was something along the lines of, what did Councilman Palermo learn this year that made me want to, or see the importance of giving some funds towards those water lines? And that was something, actually, if you look back at any previous discussion for years, in actually going back probably, I would think all 6 years at all times, I have been advocating on the fact that I felt the city was being practically, irresponsible by not supporting these residents and fixing the pipes, because these pipes are not the first ones that have gotten CBDG money, but there's been a lot of need. And again, it just came down to the fact that I strongly feel our low-income residents should not have brown water. They should not be put in a situation where, God forbid, if there's a fire, that we would not be able to have the pressure needed for that, to put out that fire. And as well as the fact of having pipes that are needing repair and having issues, and then when that happens, asbestos getting to the air, both affecting workers as well as anyone else in the area. So that is not something new.
Also address why ARPA funds were not being used for that, and why CDBG funds were chosen to be used instead.
So your time is up. I do want to respect the 5 minutes, but I will answer that last one question. There was public discussion and public outreach regarding the ARPA funds and discussion, public discussion about that, and there has been public discussion that it is going to go towards creating new parkland and giving the opportunity for all residents to get to utilize the just really more of the river and more parkland. That is something that was publicly discussed.
I'll go back and look at the survey results and confirm. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to speak next?
Hope everybody else has had the opportunity to go. You, I don't care about. I'm the older head, and I need somebody to show me how to use the Zoom before you start the clock. Oh, among other things, see, I don't know how to use this Zoom. How do you use the Zoom? Oh, okay, I got it. Mayor Pro Tem Palermo, Mr. Knighton, City Council, Mr. Petty. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to talk about a topic that I sent most of the information on. The topic I'm going to expose has never been exposed to the city of Roswell ever before, or to the citizens of Roswell. It's taken me 3 years, and only with the help of Mayor Wilson was I able to get these statistics. For 3 years, I was denied it by by a previous administration. But I want to start by saying, reading you a statement made by one of the most preeminent social justice warriors in America. If you are living in this is recent, only been published within the last month. If you are living in a city, in a neighborhood that is inundated with crime, and you act like that's not an issue, you've already lost me. Who do you think said that? Reverend Al Sharpton. Bet you that shocked the heck out of you. At any rate, as I said, I'm going to show something tonight nobody in the city of Roswell has ever seen before, because it's never been available before. Historically, the FBI has required law enforcement agencies to provide 7 sources of crimes, only 7. Roswell agreed in August of 2019 to start collecting data in this form, which is the new protocol set up by the FBI, and there's 27 categories of crime. Okay, now, why did the FBI demand this? Is so that municipalities and the public in those municipalities got a realistic picture of crime in their city and the effectiveness of their police departments. Now, I'm not going to go into this, although I sent you everything already. What I want to focus on is this 3rd category from the very right. And you go down there and you can all look and see what the crimes are. It's your business. It's all been sent to you. But at the very bottom, what I consider a very appalling number, and that is the clearance percentage of crimes last year in the city of Roswell. Only 18 out of every 100 crimes in the city of Roswell was ever resolved by our police department. Allow me to read to you what a clearance is as defined by the CSPM. The NIBRS establishes a 3-prong rule, each of which must be met to clear a crime. A crime is considered clear when, number 1, a law enforcement agency has arrested the offender, 2, the offender has been charged with the offense, and number 3, the offense has been turned over to a court for prosecution. 18 out of 100. Now, this report, the city of Roswell also gets this report every month, okay? And I'm not going to go into it, but you can see negative clearance 16%. In January, I've got all of them there. What the city of Roswell Police Department decided to do was to put this information out in this form. It's a consolidation where they put the numbers together. And this is crimes against persons, 3 categories: crimes against persons, property, and society. This happens to be crimes against persons. And what the city does is they compare the 2 months against the previous 12 months, and they come up with a positive figure. That's bullshit. Pardon my French. Here is the real results for the first 4 months of this year, where I compared the first 4 months versus the previous 4 months of last year. And crimes against persons in this city is up 21% in your administration in 4 months. It's intolerable. We cannot continue. We need outside assistance. We don't know what the other municipalities are faced with in North Fulton. You all know about the annexed jail. The Fulton County is holding their feet to the fire and not letting you open again. Okay, it was supposed to open in June. Now they say, no, it's not going to open. You all need to get together with other municipalities and bring the CPSM so they can compare the results and you can beat Mr. Rob Pitts over the head with those numbers to get him to open that jail. You have a systemic problem of crime in this city and in North Fulton, and it needs to be addressed. You need more detectives, yeah, I understand that. Opening a jail in Roswell is out of the question. $2.9 million annual budget last time they had that, okay? And throwing money at the salaries of police officers is not going to solve these numbers. Thank you.
And so actually, Mr. Fleck, just one follow-up question. So you just presented, these are both documents you requested through open records, and so your input was only the blue pen that you had added?
Yeah, the pen is mine.
Thank you.
That's why I recalculated.
Thank you.
The real figures. Thank you. You have a good evening.
Who would like to speak next?
Jason Yowell, 5010 Old Oak Trace. I wanted to talk about that gentleman's comment about the code prohibiting garden where food is visible in a front yard. You can always tell the wealthy communities that by the ones who have ordinances that find the site of food growing to be an offensive site. My point is that it is, we have no shortage of ordinances on our books that were not fully thought out, that need to be modified, and this is certainly one of them, and I think the gentleman had an excellent idea as to how to modify it in a way that was reasonable, that was not unilateral, because it was with the support of the community, and our ordinances should not be viewed as something that is cast in stone, never to be changed again. You need to be flexible and to go at it piece by piece. And when people in the community bring to you an example of something that just doesn't quite work or make sense, it's good to have the flexibility to change it and to react quickly. And that's all I have to say about that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yao. Who would like to speak next? Would anyone like to speak next? Excellent. Going once? All right, that is it. I really appreciate everyone's time tonight, and this meeting is adjourned.